Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. We want to let you know that we have once again been honored with a nomination for the Hockey Podcast of the Year via the Sports Podcasting Awards. And all you need to do to help us is go to ourkidsplayhockey.com and click on the Vote Now button. It asks you a couple questions. You're in and you're out, and you have voted for us for Hockey Podcast of the Year. I want to thank you all for being a wonderful, wonderful audience and helping us get to this stature of hockey podcasting, because we've done it as a family, as the hockey friends and families around the world. Thanks so much and enjoy this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world. Welcome to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. I'm Lee Elias, and I'm joined as always by Christy Casciano-Burns and Mike Benelli. Kind of a special edition episode today. Christy and I wrote a book, and we want to tell you all about it. Don't worry. There's actually a meaning behind this book. This episode will have a heart to it. It's not just about you finding our book, which can be found at whenhockeystops.com. I am throwing that out right at the beginning. But here's the deal. We want to have a brief discussion about what we wrote, why we wrote it, and why it's probably going to be a great addition to your hockey home, right? So during the pandemic, as everyone knows, and this podcast was born from the pandemic, everything stopped. All the rinks closed, and just like that, hockey was done for everybody. And as adults, we had to deal with that in our own way. I mean, we knew it was tough on our kids, but we started to realize, what are the kids actually going through? So the thought process came up between the three of us of, man, really, there is no guide. There is no story for children for what happens when what you love just stops. And the idea sparked in our head of, why don't we write a children's story about a young player that suffers an injury? We didn't want to write about the pandemic. Keep it timely, right? And his hockey season starts. So When Hockey Stops was born. Our main character, Leon, breaks his wrist in a very important game, and his season is over. And as you can imagine, he's one of the better players on the team. His team is heading towards a championship. So what does he do? And that is what the book is all about, that you can get back up, fight adversity, and find a way to enjoy the game and be involved in the game, even when you can't play the game. And I'll be honest with you, Christy, writing this book with you has been one of the most wonderful experiences I've ever had as a writer. We've both written several books. Mike has done a ton of work as well. But I got to tell you, like, this was one of my favorite books I've ever written.
Yeah, and the story went quickly, too, because we've all lived it, right? And beyond just hockey stopping during the awful pandemic, everything in our lives stopped. We couldn't get haircuts. We couldn't go out to restaurants, couldn't go to the movies. Hockey never gets canceled. And what? So there was a lot of self-discovery during that time for all of us, and very grateful that some new things blossomed out of that pandemic, including this podcast. And we just had a ball. And so we've been navigating through it, helping each other. And that's what we want kids to get out of reading this book too. Some self-discovery, realizing when adversity strikes, there are lots of things you can rely on each other to get through it too. So it's a great, fun read. The characters are very relatable, very relatable. We put our own kids into this as well. This was my son at age 12. Broken wrist at age 12. And that's exactly what happens to the main character in the book. So how did Joey go through it? I kind of threw some of that in there as we were writing the story. Sophia also suffered a big injury when she was 13. She was sidelined for quite a while. It hits your kids hard when there's an injury and you're sidelined and you're there watching life go by, and you feel like, my life has just stopped. What do I do now? And this book has some coping mechanisms, and you discover through these characters that it's not the end. It can actually be a new beginning in many cases.
Yeah, right. I mean, what I love too, and I won't give away the plot lines here, but I think what I liked about it as a parent able to read this book with your kids, it becomes a way you could have these, it opens up all these kind of ways to have discussions about, well, if something happened, or, well, if this happened to a teammate of yours, how would you react? Or, how would you want to deal with this adversity? So it's really a cool way of, having a fun story that has, obviously the lessons that are in there, but it just opens up the opportunity to have a discussion with your own kids as you're reading the book and going through the different, the different phases of this player's journey.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Mike, one of my favorite characters in the book that we wrote is Coach Mike. Uh, Maybe that was done on purpose or not, but no, Coach Mike really kind of gets it, and he understands that there's things bigger than the game, and his relationship with Leon, the main character, is actually one of my more favorite things to write. Of the Leon's able to go to him for guidance as much as his parents, because really when you're dealing with adversity, I think one of the things that happens to young kids is they might feel like they're alone, right? Of, oh, I'm injured now and that's the end. And the truth is, as parents and as coaches, we got to get them to stand up if they can, depending on the injury, and say, look, reach out. And again, one of my favorite things is the relationship between Leon and his coach in this book, how his coach invites him to be part of the team, even though he can't play. Right. And then also, Leon's parents who encourage him to try different things. And it's not a uphill, straight up the mountain type approach for Leon. There's kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards mentality here. We kept this very realistic in terms of both medically. We consulted doctors, literally, physical therapy, and everything that comes along with an injury. And look, here's the deal. It's not, I can say this to you, it's not like he magically gets better and he gets back for the championship game. His season is over. And that's one of the things that we wanted to tap into this book is the mental fitness side of sport, which is a topic right now that is really at the forefront of many athletic conversations. And this book is meant to be, again, as Christy said and Mike said, somewhat of a guide of, look, when you're feeling alone, A, you're not alone. B, ask for assistance. That's one of the big problems that we have generally. That's not just in children. And then 3, when you find it, how can you expand upon that? And with that said, Christy talked about her children. This book is very dear to me because I experienced this my senior year of high school. Now, the main character in the book is 12, just like Christy's son. We didn't want to make the main character too old. But when I was 17, 18 years old, I tore my shoulder and I missed my entire senior year. And I lost college scholarships and looks. And I really, for a short time, thought, oh, man, this is it. But really had a great network of people to help me. So that is the whole purpose of this book, is that it's a great read. Parents, adults, coaches, I promise you, you'll enjoy it. We threw some things in there too that you'll recognize that your kids might not, to make it fun for everybody. There's definitely some throwbacks to some 80s and 90s hockey culture in this book. But above all, the process of writing it and the message behind it, it's something we're all really passionate about. In fact, Christy, this is something we should tell people. We wrote most of this thing before we even got a book deal. We just did it because we wanted to do it. And then we did write it fast. I think we wrote the whole thing in just 5-6 weeks, if that, right? And then we sent it to some people and they wanted it before we finished it. So I love that process.
Yeah. And I love the characters in this book because there's some humor in there. It's not a preachy book by any means, and we don't hit kids over the head with lessons. So that's why I think it's going to be a fun read for I would say it's early teens, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds would really enjoy the book. And I know parents are going to love it too, because you're going to see yourselves in these characters as well, the parents. Yeah.
Yeah. And the bottom line is we need more hockey books. Come on. We need more kid hockey books. I mean, as a parent that's, searching for, kids books with hockey related themes. I think it's great that, you have that identity. I mean, obviously you can relate this to any sport or really anything, right? You could get injured in any aspect of life as you're growing up and lose that passionate piece that you love in your daily, living. But I think the side that from the hockey perspective is fun only because it's so relatable, and we hope none of our kids go through it, right? So I think it's like, okay, well, let's understand that this can happen, and I like the idea too that you can get the perspective from other parents of looking in and saying, oh, well, how are we going to deal with this individual now that they really, are we going to shun them? Like you're not part of the team anymore. You're out, you're hurt. And I think, and the way the coach, embraced the player and made sure that they didn't just say, okay, well, we'll see you when you get better. Which, again, I've been around long enough to see how players get forgotten. And I think that, even with my kids in my teams that get injured, it's hard to keep in contact with them. I'm not like the guy that wants the kids to come to the rink with the broken arm and sit on the bench all day. Like, I'm like, Do you really want to come here with a broken arm and be like just like tortured? So I'm like,
Yeah.
watch it on Live Barn. But I do think that it's great that all the different pieces rallied around the athlete and helped him get through the injury.
Yeah. Joey never expected this to happen to him at age 12, and hockey at age 12 was his life. I mean, he lived, eats, drinks, reads everything about hockey, and all of a sudden, he slams his wrist into the boards and it's done.
Yeah.
And you could see I was concerned about him going through depression. I really was, because he was so attached. It was part of his identity. Fortunately, we had coaches that involved him in the game and put him on the bench and helped let him do the plays and help coach the kids, and and give your teammates a pep talk when they're down. You're going to be in the locker room. You're going to tell them what they need to do to win this game, and that really helped him bounce back. And just like the pandemic, when everything stopped, we drew upon lessons that we hope that our kids will learn if something like this were to happen to them. And that's simply resilience. Such an important life lesson.
Absolutely. And look, that was the larger point of the book. I remember one of the challenges for me early on, Christy, and you woke me up to this, was, look, you really got to see this from the kid's point of view, is that, while we were writing it, it's like, okay, these are the lessons I want to tell. And I remember you saying, but you got to tell it from a kid's point of view. Kids don't love to talk to their parents about everything. And, not every relationship is rosy. So we had to add some of that in. And then, the larger life lesson, as you just said, of, dealing with adversity and how that applies to multiple situations. That is one of the themes of the book. This isn't just limited to this season, right? This is something you're going to have to do in your life over and over again. And I just love the message. And I'll have Christy, my 7-year-old Logan, who the main character Leon is based off of, he read the whole thing. Logan's pretty proficient at reading, but yeah, he read the whole thing. So I think 7 and up, I'll say that it's a fun story for anybody that enjoys to read. Now, another thing I want to bring up, and Mike, I love, by the way, you talked about, again, the relationship with the players, because it's one of those things of, Christy, you said this too, that feeling of aloneness when you're a teenager. You're not an adult yet. You just don't have that ability to realize, oh man, I'm not alone. The team is going to forget me. That's definitely one of the things we talk about in the book as well. But before we move on, so Christy, as you all know, is an established children's author, right? She's done 2 books, The Puck Hog and The Puck Hog 2. And you might notice these illustrations, if you're watching this, if you're listening to it, I have it up on screen. These illustrations are beautiful. All right. And they are done by her sister, Rosemarie Mosiak. And she came back for this book. And I want to share these with you to do illustrations for us. So I have a few of them here. Again, if you're listening, I'll explain them. This is in the book. This is a picture of Leon at physical therapy, working on his wrist. Unbelievably beautiful drawings. I'm going to absolutely frame every one of these, put them in my house. Hand-drawn images. One of the things I love that she said to me, Christy, I don't know if you were on this email, but she said that she likes to do hand drawings in pencil because you never know who's reading. They might want to draw. So when you make the illustrations, not too much, right? But the illustrations very, very unbelievable and mind-blowing. When young people see that, sometimes they go, I can't do that. Right. So she wanted to do stuff that people could see. And then this is my favorite one I want to share with you all too. This is the front cover of the book. And it's actually a painting. Again, if you're listening to this, make sure you check out the video version of it. Or
and this is not computer generated.
No, that is
all by
hand painting.
Yeah.
And this is the front cover of the book. And again, you can see the final front cover at the website. But I was blown away by the artwork. And I remember seeing these for the first time and going, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's for our book. So thank you, Rosemarie, for coming back to do this one. And Mike, you also alluded that we need more hockey books. So as we wrap this up, I'll tell everybody this, and Christy knows this. I have more than one story with these characters in my head, and I've had to keep them up there because we want to see how this one's going to do before I start writing, book 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And maybe we'll get Leon all the way through college. Whenever you never know. The final thing too is funny, how this podcast has helped. Mike, this is going to make you laugh. So originally when I wrote this, Leon's 12, so he's a peewee, right? He's a second-year peewee, and he's playing for the Peewee Championship. And then we did that episode, which is actually one of our most popular episodes, where you can't say peewee anymore Now it's 12U. So I had to go back in and change it. And I was wrestling. Do I want to keep it Pee Wee? I'm like, no, we got to keep it timely. So we had to go back in there, much to the publisher's, dismay, and say, we have to change everything that says Pee Wee to 12U. So I thought you'd find that funny, Mike. We keep it.
Yeah, I do like I like the, the 12U is great classification, but I do like, there's got to be somebody out there that comes up with names for these divisions, because I think just it's so, bland. Oh.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I want to add a line.
I love mites. I just
mites, Pee-wees, the Bantam Championship. I mean, it just makes it just. I like. I mean, you have no idea when you join hockey what the heck it means, but I think, but at least there's some kind of, I don't know, come up with a, I don't know, the Howe division or something. Just they got to come up with something.
No one wants to say I'm a U12 champion. I want to say I'm a Pee Wee champion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a discussion for another episode, but. Yeah, no, I didn't get a chance to add it in, but if we do a future book, I was going to make Leon's father make a quip about that. It'll always be Pee Wee to me, or something like that. But
me too.
We'll save that one for the next book.
That's what I'm saying. The sequel and so forth. So last thing we want to tell all you again. So if you're interested, it's at whenhockeystops.com for pre-sale right now. The book will be shipping in February, but we wanted to offer something before the holidays. If you're listening to this, it's 2021, mid-November. So if you pre-order the book, you get some pretty awesome gifts right away, right in the mail away. So you're going to get a $10 voucher to hockeywraparound.com, one of the partners in the book that was very devoted to making the story come out. So that's going to be right in the mail to you. You can spend that on hockeywraparound.com. You're also going to get a limited edition. We've only made 500 of these, a limited edition trading card with a special version of the front cover on the front, and on the back, we put some motivational messages with the moniker of, hey, take this card with you when you're feeling down, right? And we have some messages. And that was born from, I carry around a puck with a Herb Brooks quote on it everywhere I go, whenever I travel. It says, risk something or sit forever with your dreams. And I take that puck with me wherever I go, right? So I wanted to create something like that based off the messages with our book. And there'll be a signature on the back. And they also get some information about our podcast, obviously. Hockey Wraparound, Pivotal Moments Media, who's all about mental fitness and breaking the stigma surrounding mental fitness. So you get like a great little pre-holiday gift, and then the book will show up right away when it prints in February. Again, we're not doing this through Amazon right now. This is doing it independently with our publisher, Blue Balloon Books, who really has been great at supporting this. I can't say that enough. It's been a wonderful process. But Christy, Mike, I gotta say it. I love it. Go ahead. But wait.
There's more.
There's more.
But wait, there's more. There really isn't, but I was just dying to say that.
To do that for your donation of this much.
Your donation.
Yeah, we tried to. Again, we kept the price down. It's $15 for the pre-sale. You get the signed book and everything, and then we also, Christy, are offering a team deal. So if you're a coach or a parent out there for a team, we're doing a really great deal where if you buy 10 or more books, you'll get the books, and you'll also get a 20-minute Zoom call with Christy and I with your team. Should they find that interesting, and we can try and lasso Mike onto that too. He may or may not do that depending on his availability.
So this was my. I think I mentioned this before on Christy's earlier, right? This is my gift to all our AEU players at the end of the year. No little medals. They all got the Puck Hog book. And back in the day, I mean, Christy, that was a long time ago now. But that was.
They're probably all in college by now.
I'm aging myself now, but that was. I tell you, right? I still to this day, these kids are all in high school right now. Those kids. Yeah. And they loved, I still, when I run into them, mom and dad have that book and signed by Christy, and it's right there. And it's timeless, and they'll read it to their kids. Well, hopefully not too soon.
Right. A lot of high school players who have the book, they got them when they were little kids, go into schools now. And that's the book they bring in to read to kids. And they love it. And it's got a great message too, about being a team player. So there's another. I had to do a little plug for my book.
Oh, please do. No, the Puck Hog. Look, listen, when we go on our book tour, the Puck Hog and the Puck Hog 2 are going to be right there with When Hockey Stops. And, Christy, just again, in closing, I want to thank you personally on the air, or publicly personally on the air. That doesn't make any sense. I want to thank you for trusting me with this story and for proverbially picking up the pen again and writing, because I know how much you loved writing the Puck Hog. And really, this experience of writing this with you was wonderful. I looked forward to every second I spent doing that. And Mike, again, your influence on this is heavy. I took a lot of pride in making it Coach Mike inside the book, and the three of us together, this podcast, massively not just influence the book wouldn't exist if we didn't have, our kids play hockey. And to the listening audience, we appreciate you too. We're amazed at how big this podcast is getting, amazed in the feedback that we're getting on it. So this is our kind of creative gift to you. Check it out again, whenhockeystops.com. It is live right now. The presale is available. If you're interested in the team deal, just email me. All the information's on the site. And again, look for Christy and I are going to go on a traveling road tour in February. Again, Mike, maybe we'll lasso you for that one as well. They take you away from your teams for a day or two. And yeah, when hockey stops.
Yeah, be sure to invite us out to your rink. We'll do some book signings.
Absolutely. So again, thanks for listening to this, a little bit of abbreviated episode, but we had to tell you about it and spread the message of what we're doing. And if you're interested, again, whenhockeystops.com. But as always, for Christy Casciato Burns and Mike Benelli, I'm Lee Elias. You've been listening to Our Kids Play Hockey. Have a great day, everybody.